The call to duty. In a galaxy far away, war raged across many planets. Among them was a brave soldier named Captain Alex. He had seen too much suffering in his years of service. The sounds of blaster fire and the cries of wounded men haunted his dreams. He was tired, but he was also determined to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. One day, while stationed on a small spaceship named the Starfire, Alex sat in the command room, staring at the blinking lights of the control panel. His team had just returned from a difficult mission, and everyone was exhausted. The captain ran a hand through his short, dark hair and sighed heavily. He missed the peaceful days when he could simply be a soldier without the weight of so many lives on his shoulders. Suddenly, the communication system beeped loudly, breaking the silence. Alex straightened up and leaned closer to the screen. A message was coming through from a distant planet called Aurelia. The screen flickered to life, revealing a worried face. It was General Zara, the leader of the Aurelians. She looked panicked and desperate. "Captain Alex," she said, her voice shaking, "we need your help. The warlord Grix is attacking our planet. He has a massive army, and they are destroying everything in their path. We cannot hold out much longer." Alex's heart raced. He had heard stories about Grix and his ruthless ways. The warlord was known for conquering planets and leaving only destruction behind. Alex could not let this happen to the innocent people of Aurelia. They needed him, and he knew he had to answer the call. "I'll assemble my team and head to Aurelia immediately," he replied firmly, determination flooding his voice. As soon as the transmission ended, Alex called for his crew. One by one, they gathered in the command room. There was Sarah, the skilled pilot, with her bright smile and quick thinking. Then there was Mark, the tough yet loyal weapons specialist, always ready for a fight. Finally, there was Jenna, the brilliant engineer, who could fix anything with just a few tools. Together, they made a strong team. "Listen up, everyone," Alex said, looking each of them in the eye. "We have an urgent mission. The people of Aurelia are in danger. We must leave now and help them fight against Grix. This is our chance to make a difference." His team nodded, their faces showing determination and bravery. They all knew the risks, but they also understood the importance of their mission. They had trained for moments like this, and now it was time to act. Within minutes, the Starfire was ready for takeoff. The crew took their positions, and Sarah expertly piloted the ship into the vastness of space. As they flew toward Aurelia, Alex felt a mix of excitement and fear. He could not shake the feeling that this mission would change everything for him. As the blue and green planet of Aurelia came into view, Alex's resolve strengthened. The beautiful landscape was in danger, and he was determined to protect it. With a deep breath, he prepared himself for the battle ahead, knowing that he would do everything in his power to save the innocent lives that depended on him. The time for action had come, and Alex was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Princess and the Prophecy. As the Starfire landed softly on the surface of Aurelia, Captain Alex stepped out, his heart racing with anticipation. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, a stark contrast to the chaos he had heard about. Before him lay a lush valley surrounded by tall mountains, and in the distance, he could see the shimmering city of Elygia. Alex quickly gathered his team and began walking toward the city. The sun shone brightly, lighting up the vibrant colors of the plants and buildings. But beneath this beauty lay a sense of urgency. The people of Aurelia needed help, and he was determined to do everything he could. As they approached the city gates, they were met by a group of guards. They wore shining armor and held spears, but their faces showed fear and worry. One of the guards stepped forward. "Welcome, Captain Alex. We are grateful for your arrival. Princess Lyra is waiting for you." "Lead the way," Alex said, feeling a sense of duty. He knew the princess was important to the people, and he was eager to meet her. Inside the palace, Alex found himself in a grand hall filled with beautiful tapestries and glowing crystals. At the far end of the room stood Princess Lyra. She was tall and graceful, with long silver hair that flowed like water. Her eyes sparkled like stars, filled with both strength and kindness. "Thank you for coming, Captain," she said, her voice calm yet urgent. "Our planet is in grave danger. Warlord Grix will not stop until he has conquered all of Aurelia." Alex felt a wave of determination. "We will fight back. I promise to protect you and your people." Princess Lyra nodded, her expression serious. "I have something to show you. It is a prophecy that speaks of a soldier who will come to save us. It is said that when the darkest hour arrives, a brave heart will unite with a royal spirit, bringing hope to the lost." She motioned for Alex to follow her to a large room filled with ancient scrolls. The walls were covered in beautiful paintings depicting the history of Aurelia. Lyra picked up a scroll and unrolled it carefully. The words glowed softly as she read aloud. "In times of despair, when shadows fall, a soldier of honor will answer the call. With courage and strength, and a heart pure and true, he will stand with the princess to fight for the blue." Alex listened intently. He couldn't help but feel a connection to the prophecy. Could it be about him? He glanced at Lyra, who seemed to believe in the words with all her heart. "The people of Aurelia need you," Lyra said softly, looking into his eyes. "The prophecy speaks of a bond between us. Together, we can bring hope and unite our forces against Grix." Feeling the weight of her words, Alex nodded. "We will work together. I'll teach your people how to defend themselves, and we'll prepare for Grix's attack." Lyra smiled, a glimmer of hope shining in her eyes. "Thank you, Captain. Your presence here gives us strength." As they spoke, Alex felt a spark of connection with Lyra. He admired her bravery and kindness, and he knew that together they could face the danger ahead. They began to make plans for the defense of Aurelia, knowing that the battle was coming, but also believing that they had a chance to win. In that moment, under the weight of the prophecy and the burden of duty, Captain Alex and Princess Lyra forged a bond that would guide them through the dark times to come. Hope flickered in the air, and with it, a new path opened before them. Bonding through adversity. As the days passed on Aurelia, Captain Alex and Princess Lyra worked side by side to prepare for the battle against Warlord Grix. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of fear and hope, and both knew that time was running out. Each evening, they gathered the people in the palace courtyard to teach them how to fight and defend their home. Lyra was a natural leader. She stood tall, her silver hair catching the light, and spoke with passion. "We are not just fighting for ourselves," she would say, her voice strong. "We are fighting for our future, for our children, and for the peace we deserve." The crowd cheered, inspired by her words. Alex admired her bravery and began to see her not just as a princess, but as a true warrior. He started teaching the soldiers how to use weapons and develop their combat skills. He showed them basic tactics, emphasizing teamwork and strategy. Under his guidance, they began to train hard, gaining strength and confidence. One afternoon, while practicing sword play, Alex noticed that Lyra had joined in. At first, he was surprised. "Your Highness, you don't have to do this," he said, concerned for her safety. Lyra smiled, her determination shining through. "I need to learn to fight for my people. If I am to lead them, I must be strong too." As they trained together, Alex noticed the spark of determination in Lyra's eyes. She was a quick learner, adapting to the movements and strategies he taught her. They laughed together as they sparred, sharing moments of lightness in the midst of the looming threat. It became clear that their bond was growing stronger. One evening, after a long day of training, they sat on the palace steps, looking out at the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the beauty of the moment felt almost magical. Alex turned to Lyra. "You're amazing," he said. "You've shown more courage than many soldiers I know." Lyra blushed, her cheeks turning a soft shade of pink. "Thank you, Alex. Your training has given me strength. But it is more than that. You have brought hope to my people when we needed it most. Alex felt a warmth in his chest at her words. He realized that he was starting to care for Lyra deeply. It was more than just a mission. It was about the connection they shared. I will do everything I can to protect you and your kingdom, he promised, looking into her eyes. In the days that followed, the training intensified. As the sun rose and set, the people of Aurelia grew stronger and more united. They worked together, learning not only to fight, but also to trust one another. Lyra led by example, fighting alongside the soldiers, earning their respect and admiration. However, with each passing day, the shadow of Grix loomed closer. Rumors spread that the warlord was planning his final assault. The atmosphere turned tense as fear settled in, and doubts began to creep into the minds of the warriors. One night, as Alex and Lyra prepared for another day of training, she turned to him with worry in her eyes. "What if we lose?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her question. "We cannot think like that, Lyra. We must believe in ourselves and in each other. The strength we have built together will guide us." Lyra nodded, a spark of determination returning to her eyes. "You're right. We will fight together, no matter what happens." In that moment, Alex knew they were ready. They had faced challenges and fears together, and their bond had grown stronger through it all. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it side by side, united in their fight for Aurelia. And that bond would give them the strength to face whatever dangers awaited them. The threat emerges. The sun was setting over Aurelia, casting long shadows across the palace grounds. Captain Alex and Princess Lyra stood together on the balcony, gazing at the horizon. They had spent weeks training the soldiers, and hope filled the air. But beneath that hope, a dark cloud loomed. The whispers of war grew louder, and everyone felt the tension rising. Suddenly, a loud horn sounded in the distance, echoing through the valley. The sound was harsh and urgent, sending chills down Alex's spine. He turned to Lyra, his expression serious. "That horn, it can't be good." Before they could react, a guard rushed into the room, his face pale. "Captain, Princess, Grix's forces are approaching. They are gathering at the edge of the forest." Alex's heart raced. He felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. "Gather the troops. We need to prepare for battle now," he commanded, his voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside him. As the soldiers assembled in the courtyard, Alex felt a mix of determination and anxiety. He looked at Lyra, who stood among the warriors, her face resolute. She had become a true leader, inspiring her people with her bravery. "Listen up," Alex shouted, raising his voice above the crowd. "We have trained hard for this moment. Grix will not take our home without a fight. Remember what we have learned. Trust each other and fight for each other." The soldiers cheered, their voices filled with energy and courage. Lyra stepped forward, her voice clear. "We will protect our land. We will stand united against Grix and his army. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of Aurelia." With those words, hope sparked in their hearts. They gathered their weapons, forming a line of defense at the entrance of the palace. Alex felt a sense of pride as he looked at the brave faces around him. They were ready to protect their home. As night fell, the sounds of battle grew closer. The soldiers took their positions, eyes focused on the darkened trees where the enemy would soon appear. Alex stood beside Lyra, feeling the tension in the air. Then the ground shook with the sound of heavy footsteps. The trees rustled as Grix's forces emerged from the shadows. They marched in formation, a sea of armored soldiers with fierce expressions. At the front of the army stood Warlord Grix himself, a tall figure clad in dark armor, with a menacing grin on his face. "Look at them, Princess," Alex said, trying to keep his voice steady. "They are here to destroy everything we love." Lyra clenched her fists, her eyes blazing with determination. "We will not let that happen. We are ready." The enemy army halted just outside the palace gates, their warlord raising a hand to silence them. "People of Aurelia," Grix's voice boomed across the valley. "You have defied me for too long. Surrender now, and I will spare your lives. If you resist, you will face total destruction." Alex felt a surge of anger at Grix's arrogance. "We will never surrender," he shouted back, his voice echoing with defiance. Grix laughed, a cruel sound that sent chills through the soldiers. "Then prepare for your doom." With a wave of his hand, Grix signaled his army to advance. Alex turned to the soldiers, his heart pounding. "Hold your ground. Fight with everything you have." The clash of metal filled the air as the two armies collided. Alex fought fiercely, moving among his troops, helping them hold their lines. Lyra fought beside him, her sword gleaming in the dim light. Together, they pushed back against the darkness, but they knew this battle was just the beginning. The threat had emerged, and the fight for Aurelia had truly begun. The battle begins. The night sky was filled with the sounds of clashing swords and battle cries. Captain Alex fought with all his strength, his heart racing as he moved among his soldiers. The battle for Aurelia had begun, and there was no turning back. Grix's army surged forward like a dark wave, determined to crush everything in their path. "Stay close," Alex shouted to his troops, pushing back against the enemy. Each soldier fought with bravery, remembering the training they had received from Alex and Princess Lyra. They were fighting not just for themselves, but for their homes, families, and future. Lyra stood beside Alex, her silver hair shining in the dim light of the battlefield. She swung her sword with skill, taking down one enemy after another. "We can do this," she yelled, her voice filled with determination. The sight of her fighting fiercely inspired the soldiers around them. As the battle raged on, Alex noticed a group of Grix's soldiers attempting to flank their position. "We need to stop them," he called to Lyra. Together, they charged toward the enemy, cutting through the chaos. With every step, Alex felt the weight of the battle heavy on his shoulders. He could see the fear in some of his soldiers' eyes, but he refused to let it spread. "Remember what we fight for," he shouted, rallying their spirits. "We fight for our land, our families, and each other." In the midst of the fighting, Alex spotted Grix himself at the edge of the battlefield, directing his troops with an icy smile. The warlord's presence filled Alex with anger. He knew he had to confront Grix if they were going to win this battle. "Lyra," he called, pointing toward the warlord. "We need to take down Grix." Lyra nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. "Let's go." They pushed through the mass of soldiers, fighting their way toward Grix. The chaos around them was overwhelming. Swords clashing, shields breaking, and the cries of the wounded filling the air. But Alex and Lyra stayed focused, knowing that if they could reach Grix, they could turn the tide of the battle. Finally, they'd reached the warlord, who stood surrounded by his guards. Grix's laughter echoed through the air as he saw them approach. "So the princess and her little soldier have come to face me," he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Alex clenched his jaw, anger boiling within him. "This ends now. Grix, you will not destroy our home." With a wave of his hand, Grix ordered his guards to attack. Alex and Lyra fought back to back, their movements synchronized as they defended against the oncoming foes. Each strike brought them closer to Grix, but the enemy soldiers were relentless. Lyra dodged a blow and quickly countered, taking down one of Grix's guards. "We can't let him win," she shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos. Just as they fought their way through, Grix raised his sword, preparing to strike. Alex lunged forward, adrenaline surging through his veins. With a fierce battle cry, he clashed swords with the warlord, their weapons ringing out like thunder. In that moment, everything around them faded away. It was just Alex and Grix, two warriors fighting for their cause. The tension was palpable as they exchanged blows, each one pushing the other back. Finally, with a swift movement, Alex disarmed Grix, sending his sword flying into the dirt. The warlord stumbled back, surprise flashing across his face. "You think you can defeat me?" Grix spat, but fear was creeping into his voice. Alex looked at him, his determination unwavering. "This is for Aurelia," he declared, raising his sword high. Just then, Lyra joined Alex, her eyes fierce. "Together, we will protect our people." With one swift strike, they brought down the warlord, and the roar of their victory echoed across the battlefield. The tide was turning, and the soldiers of Aurelia felt a renewed sense of hope. The battle had begun, but now they had the strength to fight for their future. Loss and resolve. As dawn broke over the battlefield, the first rays of sunlight pierced through the thick haze of smoke and chaos. Captain Alex stood among the fallen, his heart heavy with the weight of loss. The sounds of battle had faded, but the silence felt deafening. While they had defeated Grix, the cost was high. Around him lay the bodies of both friends and foes. Alex's chest tightened as he recognized familiar faces among the fallen soldiers of Aurelia. Each loss was a painful reminder of the fight they had just endured. He could feel the tears welling in his eyes, but quickly blinked them away. This was not the time to grieve. There was still much to be done. "Captain." Lyra's voice cut through his thoughts as she approached, her silver hair now tangled and stained with dirt. Her eyes were filled with sorrow. We lost so many." Alex nodded, unable to find the words. "I know," he said, his voice heavy. "We fought bravely, but it hurts to see our people suffer like this." Lyra stepped closer, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "We must honor their memory. They fought for a future we can still create. We can't give up now." Her words struck a chord within him. Even in the face of loss, Lyra's resolve shone brightly. "You're right," he said, taking a deep breath. "We need to regroup and ensure that their sacrifice was not in vain." The remaining soldiers began to gather, forming small groups to share their grief and their stories. Many faces were stained with tears, but there was also a fire of determination. They knew that they had survived Grix's first wave, and together they could rebuild. As Alex looked around, he realized that his bond with the people of Aurelia had deepened. They had fought together, shared their fears, and faced the darkness as one. He felt a responsibility to lead them not just in battle, but in healing everyone. Alex called, raising his voice to gather attention. "Today we faced a great evil, and though we lost many, we have also proven our strength. We have shown that we will not let fear control us. Let us honor our fallen heroes by rebuilding our home and ensuring that their spirit lives on." The soldiers nodded, their faces reflecting a mix of sorrow and determination. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining with hope. "Together, we will heal. Together, we will honor our friends. We will build a future for Aurelia, one that is filled with peace and joy. Let us remember those we lost and fight for the lives they would have wanted." Her words ignited a spark within the crowd. They stood taller, wiping away their tears and nodding in agreement. United in their grief, they now shared a common purpose. "Let's gather supplies and help each other," Alex suggested, feeling a renewed sense of duty. "We need to care for the wounded and begin the work of rebuilding our community." As the soldiers began to move, Alex felt a sense of pride swell within him. Even in their darkest hour, the people of Aurelia had found strength in one another. They were more than just soldiers. They were a family united by love and loss. Days turned into weeks as the people of Aurelia worked tirelessly to rebuild their homes and their spirits. They held memorials for those they had lost, celebrating the lives of their fallen comrades. Each night, as the stars shone brightly above, they shared stories and laughter, remembering the joy their friends had brought into their lives. In this time of healing, Alex and Lyra became closer than ever. Their bond, forged in the fires of battle, grew stronger as they faced the challenges of rebuilding together. They were no longer just a soldier and a princess. They were partners in every sense of the word. As they looked out over the valley one evening, they knew that while the scars of war would remain, the resolve of their people would shine even brighter. They would rise from the ashes, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, for they were Aurelians, strong, united, and unyielding in their quest for peace. A new alliance. As the sun rose over Aurelia, the people were busy rebuilding their homes and their lives. Captain Alex and Princess Lyra worked tirelessly alongside them, leading efforts to restore what had been lost in the battle against Grix. With every day, hope filled the air, but deep down, they knew that the threat of another attack still lingered. One morning, while inspecting the rebuilt defenses around the palace, Alex received surprising news. "Captain," a soldier called out, rushing toward him. "We have visitors from the neighboring planet, Celestia. They wish to speak with you and the princess." "Visitors," Alex replied, curious and cautious. Celestia was known for its advanced technology and powerful warriors. If they were coming to help, it could change everything for Aurelia. When the delegation from Celestia arrived, Alex and Lyra stood side by side to greet them. The group was led by Commander Zara, a tall woman with striking blue skin and bright, shining eyes. She carried herself with confidence and grace, making an instant impression. "Welcome to Aurelia, Commander Zara," Lyra said, her voice warm. "We are grateful for your visit." "Thank you, Princess Lyra," Zara replied, her tone serious. "I bring news of Grix's army. They have retreated, but they are regrouping. We cannot be sure that they will not strike again. Celestia wishes to form an alliance with Aurelia to strengthen our defenses." Alex exchanged a glance with Lyra, feeling a spark of hope. "An alliance could help us prepare for any future threats," he said. "But what would that mean for our people?" Zara smiled. "It means sharing our knowledge, resources, and technology. Together, we can create a united front against any enemy. Our armies can train together, and we can share our advanced weapons and strategies." Lyra nodded, her excitement growing. "This could be the support we need. We have faced many challenges alone. With Celestia by our side, we can protect our people better than ever." Alex felt a wave of determination wash over him. "We must meet with the leaders of Celestia and discuss how we can work together. This alliance could be the key to a peaceful future." The next few days were filled with meetings and discussions. Alex and Lyra listened closely as Zara explained the ways Celestia's technology could help strengthen Aurelia. They talked about training programs, joint exercises, and resource sharing. Each idea built on the last, creating a strong foundation for their future alliance. One evening, as the sun set over the palace, Alex found himself deep in conversation with Commander Zara. "What has been the most challenging part of leading your people?" he asked, genuinely curious. Zara paused, her expression thoughtful. "The hardest part is always the fear of losing those we love. Every leader must carry that burden. I lost many in my fight against Grix. It is a pain I know too well." Alex nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "We lost many too. It is a pain that never leaves you, but we must use it as strength to fight for those who remain." Zara smiled, a flicker of respect in her eyes. "You have the heart of a true leader, Captain. Together, I believe we can create something powerful." As the alliance took shape, both Celestians and Aurelians worked side by side. They shared stories, learned from each other, and forged new friendships. The bond between the two peoples grew stronger, and the feeling of hope spread throughout the palace. In a grand ceremony held in the courtyard, Alex and Lyra stood before their people and the Celestian delegation. "Today, we unite as one," Lyra declared, her voice clear. "Together, we will fight for peace and protect our worlds from any who threaten us." The crowd erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted. The partnership between Aurelia and Celestia marked a new chapter in their history. They were no longer alone. They were stronger together. As Alex looked at Lyra, he felt a sense of pride. They had faced great challenges and loss, but now a new alliance gave them hope. They were ready to protect their home and create a future where peace reigned. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead, united in their purpose and resolve. The final showdown. The day of the final showdown had arrived. The skies above Aurelia were gray, mirroring the tension that filled the air. Captain Alex stood at the forefront of the united armies of Aurelia and Celestia, gazing out at the horizon, where dark clouds loomed like an impending storm. His heart raced with a mix of anticipation and fear. Today would determine the fate of their worlds. Beside him, Princess Lyra wore her armor, a symbol of her courage and commitment. Her silver hair flowed behind her like a banner of hope. "We have trained hard for this moment," she said, her voice steady. "We know Grix is preparing for one final attack. We will not let him take our home again." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "Our alliance is strong, and together we can defeat him. We must fight not only for ourselves, but for those we lost." He looked at the assembled soldiers, Aurelians and Celestians standing side by side. "We are more than just allies. We are a family now." The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing in the air. The bond they had formed through shared struggles and victories had made them stronger. Each one understood the importance of this battle, and their resolve was unshakable. As they prepared for the fight, Commander Zora walked up to them, her expression fierce. "We have intelligence that Grix is gathering his forces just beyond the valley. He knows we are ready for him, and he will come with everything he has. Then we will be ready." Alex replied, a fire igniting in his chest. "Let's set up our defenses and prepare for the attack." Hours passed, and the soldiers took their positions. The united forces formed a line of defense, shields raised and weapons ready. As the sun began to set, the tension in the air became palpable. Suddenly, a horn echoed across the valley, signaling the approach of Grix's army. "Here they come," a soldier shouted, eyes wide with fear and determination. As the enemy emerged from the shadows, Alex's heart sank. Grix led his army with a menacing grin, his dark armor glinting in the fading light. "You think you can stop me?" he bellowed, his voice booming across the battlefield. "You will pay for your defiance." "Not today, Grix," Lyra shouted back, her voice clear and strong. "We will fight for our home and our people." With a roar, Grix signaled his troops to attack. The battlefield erupted into chaos as both armies clashed, swords clanging and shields crashing. Alex fought fiercely, moving through the lines, ensuring his soldiers stayed strong and united. "Stay together," he shouted, leading them into the fray. Every blow he struck was for those they had lost, for the future they were fighting to protect. He could feel the adrenaline pumping through his veins as he battled Grix's forces, side by side with Lyra and Zora. The fight was brutal, with casualties on both sides, but the Aurelians and Celestians fought with a fierce determination, fueled by their shared purpose. They pushed forward, inching closer to Grix, who remained at the center of his army, directing his troops with a cruel smile. Finally, Alex spotted Grix again, his dark figure looming over the battlefield. "This ends now," Alex shouted, charging forward. Lyra followed closely, her sword gleaming as they closed the distance. As they reached Grix, the warlord sneered at them. "You think you can defeat me? I am more powerful than you can imagine." "We are not afraid of you," Lyra declared, raising her sword high. "You will not destroy our home." With a fierce cry, Alex and Lyra attacked together, their movements synchronized as they fought against Grix. The battle was intense, each blow bringing them closer to victory. Alex could feel the strength of his allies behind him, their unity giving him power. With one final strike, Alex disarmed Grix, sending his sword crashing to the ground. The warlord stumbled, disbelief filling his eyes. "No, this cannot be." "Yes, it can," Alex shouted, raising his sword high. "Aurelia will not fall. Together, Alex and Lyra delivered the final blow, bringing Grix to his knees. The battlefield fell silent as the reality of their victory sank in. The warlord was defeated, and the threat he posed was gone. As the soldiers erupted in cheers, Alex turned to Lyra, their eyes meeting in a moment of triumph. They had fought for their home and their people, and together they had won. The alliance between Aurelia and Celestia had proven strong, and their future was now filled with hope. A new dawn. The sun rose slowly over Aurelia, casting a warm golden light across the land. It was a new dawn, a fresh beginning after the dark days of battle. Captain Alex stood on the balcony of the palace, taking a deep breath of the cool morning air. Below him, the people of Aurelia were starting to gather, their faces filled with hope and joy. They had fought hard, and now it was time to celebrate their victory. Princess Lyra joined him, her hair catching the morning light. "It feels different today," she said, her voice soft but filled with excitement. "After everything we've been through, we can finally look forward to a brighter future." Alex nodded, a smile breaking across his face. "We did it, Lyra. We defeated Grix, and now we can rebuild our home together." Together, they walked down to the courtyard where a gathering was forming. Soldiers from both Aurelia and Celestia stood side by side, united in their victory. The atmosphere was lively, filled with laughter and relief. Families reunited, sharing warm embraces and tears of joy. The bond forged through hardship was now a powerful force, stronger than any wall or weapon. "Today, we celebrate not just our victory, but our unity," Lyra announced to the crowd, her voice ringing clear. "We have faced great challenges together and emerged stronger than ever. Let us honor those we lost and commit ourselves to a peaceful future." The crowd erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring. Alex felt a rush of pride. They had fought for each other, and now they were ready to heal. As the celebrations began, music filled the air, and laughter danced like sunlight across the courtyard. As the festivities continued, Alex took a moment to step away from the crowd. He wandered to the garden, where flowers bloomed brightly, a symbol of life returning to Aurelia. He closed his eyes, remembering the faces of those who had fallen in battle. It was important to honor them, but now was also a time to look forward. Lyra found him there, her expression thoughtful. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. "I'm just thinking about everyone we lost," Alex replied, his voice soft. "They fought for this moment. We need to make sure their sacrifices were not in vain." Lyra nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "We will honor them by building a future filled with peace. That is the best tribute we can give." With renewed purpose, Alex and Lyra returned to the courtyard. The celebrations continued, with people sharing stories, dancing, and enjoying the food that had been prepared. It was a time for joy, but also a time for reflection. Together, they had faced darkness and emerged victorious. As the day wore on, a new sense of community blossomed among the people. Aurelians and Celestians worked together to rebuild homes, plant gardens, and create a lasting bond. They shared knowledge and traditions, learning from each other and growing closer. Commander Zara stood beside Alex and Lyra, a proud smile on her face. "This alliance is just the beginning," she said. "Together, we can create a force for good in the galaxy. Our partnership can help others who face the same darkness we have fought against." Alex agreed, feeling a spark of hope. "We can be a beacon of light, showing that unity is stronger than any threat. Together, we can build a legacy of peace." As the sun began to set, casting a beautiful array of colors across the sky, Alex took Lyra's hand. "This is our new beginning," he said softly. "Together, we can face anything that comes our way." With determination in their hearts, they stood side by side, ready to embrace the future. The battle against Grix had tested their strength, but it had also united them in ways they had never imagined. The dawn of a new era had begun, one filled with hope, courage, and a promise of peace. In the heart of Aurelia, A new story was starting to unfold, a story of resilience, love, and the power of unity. Together, they would write the next chapter of their lives, one filled with possibilities.